Hey there friends, Nibs again. Out in the garage tinkering around this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Got a lot of work to do. Get over to the church and do some work over there. A bunch of yard work to do around here. The weeds are growing like crazy. And what I wanted to do is get out and do a little tinkering in the garage before it got too late and get a few things done out here. And one of the things that I want to do is work on this. These are the Acro1 by Ampell, and they're actually a pretty cool little gun, but I just thought maybe we could improve this trigger just a little bit. It's not terrible already, really, but it does have a little bit of grit just before it breaks there, and I think I can make that better. So let me go ahead and bring you down here to the desktop, or bench top. And I got my Lyman trigger gauge here, and I want to go ahead and just see if we can get a before reading on this guy. So I don't have a CO2 in there right now. Really no need for it with the way this hammer assembly works. But I'm going to go ahead and reset that, and we'll see what we got for had my hand on the striker. Let me redo that. So when you pull a trigger, this piece here flies back and hits the valve inside. Such a simple design, but so effective, really. So that's how you cock it, and then that's how it strikes. So let's go ahead and redo that. That one read 2 pounds, but I think I obstructed it a little bit. So 2 pounds, 15 ounces. Let me do one more just to get an average here. £3 pounds, 1 ounce. Let me do one more. I think I can definitely, 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds, 1 ounce. So that's right around a 3 pound trigger. Very, very good. So these things are so simple to work on. You have a, let's see, what size was this? I believe it was a 1.5 millimeter, maybe 2. Little, 1.5 millimeter little Allen head that holds the front sight on. And that's just surrounds the end of the barrel here. You got to take that off to remove this side plate. So I've been doing some work on the bench here. I cleaned off the wall up here. I got some magnetic holders. Got all my tools that I need to work on guns and air guns. Mostly air guns, but you know, I do my own gun working up here as well. But so much better. So much less clutter on the desktop. It makes life a lot easier for working. So we'll go ahead and pull this apart. Just 3 screws. Now, a word of caution here with this. This one has a little bent spring that wraps around things, and it's not going to go flying. But my other one that I have, this is the 22 version. My 177 version actually has just a little compression spring right down in here. And if you're not careful, when you take this side plate off, that could go flying across the garage. So you got to be very careful when you take one of these apart in that manner. Okay, the other thing I forgot is the rear sight is held on just by the windage grub screws, and you got to take that off to be able to separate these two halves as well. So again, hold on to your pieces there, and you should be able to just lift the left-hand side plate off. So now the 2 pieces I'm going to be working on are this is the hammer here. So when you push that lever on the right hand side forward, this pushes this whole block forward, and then it engages with the trigger here. And I can demonstrate that. Just so that's engaged right there. So what I'm going to do is just this surface of this little V-notch, and then the top and front surface of the trigger. I'll go ahead and finely polish those, probably just with a buffing wheel with jeweler's rouge on it. And this is the valve. I've had that apart already. I did a video on that. Replaced the CO2 seal. Apparently it's a common thing for these to be very crudded up, which the internal seal of the valve was in surprisingly good shape on both of the ones that I have. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and pull this trigger out first. Take care not to lose that spring. Okay, there we go. And then looks like I gotta take the hammer spring out just so it don't go flying on me. And then we got a flat blade screw holding this lever onto the hammer. So nice having some quiet time, get out in the garage and just tinker around with things. And oh yeah, I can see already that it's very rough. And just like, I don't know if you watch my videos, I did a video on making the trigger better in my Umarex Ruger Mark IV air pistol, and also with the Crosman 1322 air pistols. This is very, very similar to that. This is just basically like a stamped out cut piece of metal, and it's got really rough edges right there, and that would cause friction against those pieces as you try to pull that trigger. It's going to cause friction against there. So I will polish these up. I'll hit them real quick with a 600 1500 wet dry sandpaper, being very careful not to change any of my angles. And then I will polish them up with my Dremel tool with a jeweler's rouge going on it. Those are kind of fiddly and tedious processes, so I'll go ahead and cut the video off and I'll do those things, and then I'll bring you back on and show you what I did and do a reassembly portion of the video, and we'll get this guy back together and see if we made any improvements with this trigger scale. I'm sure even if it doesn't make any weight improvements, it's going to feel a lot better, because that was the main thing. It was just really gritty. You could feel the grit as you're pulling the trigger back. And but anyway, stand by and I'll be right back with you with these pieces all polished up. Alrighty friends, so I am back. Got done polishing up the pieces here. Sorry. And really big difference in appearance. I don't know if you can see that. Get the camera to focus here. But polish the top edge, which is not nearly as important as this front bearing edge that will rest against the notch in the hammer here. But I polished up this bearing surface of the hammer, and I can feel already that they just feel like two ball bearings riding against each other, and I'm very certain that's going to make a big difference as far as how this gun really works. I did go ahead and clean up inside of this channel, and inside this channel where the hammer actually rides, and I did the surface of the hammer was just so gritty and rough too. I cleaned up the top and bottom and sides so that it would have a nice little, much easier time sliding back and forth and make the cocking effort feel better. And so we'll go ahead and get this guy back together and see how much improvement we might have made. So Put the hammer in there, and we're going to reinstall our cocking knob, I guess you'd call it, cocking shoe. Go ahead and get the hammer spring set there. Now we need the trigger spring. Get that guy in there. Trigger fall. This is such a simple design. I can't get over how simple this is, but effective. Really is a good working little mechanism. Just needed a little bit of TLC to get the trigger smoothed out a little bit, but so there's our trigger back in. Everything seems to be in order. Now we bring our side plate over. Side plate slips on. So these are our self-tapping screws. Now I'll show you a little trick with that. So get our self-tapping screws. They're all the same size, so it really doesn't make a difference which one goes where. But when you're putting in these self-tapping screws, either in a aluminum cast body like this, or even maybe working on some electronics with plastic screw holes, you want to make sure you turn your screwdriver backwards till you hear that click. Now you know you've just fallen off the back side of the thread, so you're starting right in the beginning of that thread, and then it should screw in real easy into that threaded hole. If you just start turning clockwise, you've got a really good chance that that self-tapping screw or that coarse screw going into, there it is, that coarse screw going into plastic or whatever is going to start cutting a new set of threads. And if you have a piece that you have to do maintenance on occasionally and take it apart, eventually you'll end up wearing that screw hole out, and you'll end up with a stripped out screw hole. So that's something I learned working for years on electronics. One of my former coworkers showed me that old trick. So it's all back together as far as we need it to be able to test that trigger. I'll put the hammer and sight back on later without you guys on here. That's no need to keep you on for all of that, but I can feel already that the feel of it, I don't think the weight has changed much, but the feel of it, there's just no grit there at all. It just breaks. So that is really nice. But let's go ahead and see if the lyman tells us anything. Like this lyman, I was up in the air whether I wanted to get the wheeler or the lyman, and the fact that this was about $20 cheaper made my mind up for me. But yeah, still right around 3 pounds. So we're still right at 3 pounds. Do one more here. 2 pounds 7 ounces. So if I go towards the 2 pounds 5 ounces, so it looks like we did make a little bit of an improvement on the but the feel of it is so much better. Yeah, that's so, you know, I if you know anything about target guns at all, you know that the trigger can make or break any target gun. And this guy, I did the head-to-head with the 22 and the 177 previously, and they really shot great. Have great potential as far as you know, really a target gun, but the limiting factor was that grittiness of that trigger made it tough, and it was moving, you know, you could feel it moving around as you're sighting and trying to pull that trigger. But now it's so much cleaner of a break. I can feel it. It feels like I said before, it feels like two ball bearings riding against each other now, instead of two pieces of sandpaper trying to move across each other. But anyway, let me bring you up here for a minute. So there we go. Such a great improvement to the trigger on this Ampell Acro1 trigger. Just crisp now. Very nice. So I'll go ahead and I'll do the same thing to my 177 version. Got both of them now. I got a 22 and a 177. We'll go ahead and get those done, and maybe I'll do another head-to-head, see if I made any improvement as far as what the accuracy might be. So anyway, hope you liked the video. Again, these how-tos get a little bit long, and I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. But if you did like the video, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when I do post up new videos. But until next time, have a great day.